Welcome everyone to the OTC Club. We would like to thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you to our title sponsor, Jaws NFT Club, a luxury NFT that pays you in dividends of BTC quarterly and only 2,250 available coming soon. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out Fimi Token. And I see a lot of people are starting to trickle in. Just know that this space is being recorded, and as soon as we finish, you guys could go ahead and play that back. But welcome to the OTC Club, Steve. We're ecstatic to have the CEO of AITX with us here today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Thanks, Christine. It's fun. It's different. I'm really like my whole angle tonight is super casual. I'm not planning on being on per se as Mr. CEO. Just very curious to learn what happens in these rooms. I love learning about the psyche behind OTC traders and stuff. So that's really how I'm approaching this, Christine. Just somebody on the call, just hanging out and chatting.
Well, I'm super duper excited to have you, and so is my co-host and panel. Let's get started. So, tell us about artificial intelligence technology solutions. And I'm a super big fan of the robots, and I love their names like Romeo. Who else do you guys have? Rosa, Ava, Stan, Scott. Can you tell us about AITX and all the robots? I love them. And then you have Wally too.
I know. It's so fun. Like, I gotta tell you, like, naming these things is fun. And we started out with Scott, right? And the idea was we were going to take these acronyms and turn them, into human type names. So Scott is security control and observation tower, and Wally just was like a internal like project name, and it leaked, and so all of a sudden we had to run with Wally. That's why Wally doesn't mean anything. And then the internet being the internet, I started getting flack on gender names and diversity names, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Okay, fine. And so Rosa and Ava came out, you know what I mean? And so it's fun. The names are fun, but basically, listen, from the highest level, this is what we see. Okay, we see a continuous drop in employment within the security and facility management industries. We see it now. I speak to customers who are dealers all day long. They have 25, 35% of their jobs cannot be filled. They are not filling their customers' jobs. This is going to happen in industry after industry. You see it happening in fast food, probably is the most noticeable example. So the bottom line is that over the next 5 and 10 years, series of machines, of AI-enabled machines, will be filling these roles. And AITX is focused on starting to fill these roles in the security industry and in the facility management industry and in the food delivery industry, and so forth. And we'll continue to take this idea of filling these roles to as many industries as we can.
That's amazing. And I definitely can resonate with what you said about like the food industry, because I think more and more the fast food places you go into, I think, you're making the orders and everything just with AI, like these machines and robots and stuff. And there's just like a couple people working in the back now. It's like less and less. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's going to continue. There's no question. I talk to people obviously all day long, and one of the things I say is that there's no date in the future when we're going to get 5 million workers entering the workforce looking to take these low-wage, crappy jobs. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. We are at the beginning of a cycle of population decline for the first time in global history, with the exception of some of the large pandemics that we've had throughout history. So this is uncharted territory. If we don't have intelligent machines helping our everyday lives, we'll, have some serious societal problems. So I feel, and I think that our team feels kind of, on a mission beyond the commercial aspects but just to kind of help shape this new world and this fourth industrial revolution that we're in the midst of.
Yeah, super awesome. And I do want to remind you guys, we will be taking questions from the audience, but we're going to wait till we finish our questions out and the panel's questions, and then we'll take your guys' questions right away. So if you are requesting, just stay put, and then we'll be with you guys soon. So what do you feel separates you guys from other AI tech companies in the OTC market?
You know, in the OTC, there is nobody that does what we do. That's sure. And it's easily arguable that there's nobody that does what we do anywhere. There might be some bits and pieces here and there. You know, and Nightscope went on to NASDAQ on Thursday, and Friday, I'm sure everybody knows, they had a really, really big day. And me and, you know, my bankers and the guys who, you know, my institutionals, the whole pubco side of the business outside of retail, were just staring at it. We were like, oh my God. And guys are calling me up, telling me they're getting their short orders in. And anyway, you can kind of say Scope is probably our closest competition. But I don't really consider them full competition or anybody full competition because nobody is executing the vision that we have. We wrote down this vision like 3 years ago in our autonomous remote services manifesto, where we basically laid out exactly what we'd be doing. And now we're simply executing on it. And no one else is doing that. They got a product here or a product there, and they don't work together. And, you know, they're not cellular optimized and so on and so forth. So, you know, for better or for worse, we're in our own space.
Awesome. And that's good. You don't have any real competition, you feel like. So that's even better for you guys.
I mean, it's good for us from the standpoint of being a first mover. And one of the, one of the sayings that I like to go by is it's better to be first than to be better. So that's why we've got so many products, trying to get into the market, trying to establish what these products look like, how they work together, and really kind of prepare the stage for the copycats and everybody kind of coming in behind us. We want to be the incumbent. Recognize there'll be competition. I'm not worried about competition. I want to maintain a 2 to 3 year lead over everybody else. Yeah, and it'll happen. It's already happening. Nightscope kind of copied Scott with their K1 unit, so it's already underway.
That's amazing. So when you look at charts, you guys really had your fair share of amazing runs the past couple of years. You guys are currently trading at 0.017. What catalysts can you guys talk about that are coming up this year?
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting. Particularly again with Nightscope, right? And I'm going to use this as a comparative from a stock standpoint. Nightscope, you know, they go through 8-9 years of Reg A's. They raise maybe $110 million, of which they spend like $35 million on sales and marketing. And they still have negative gross margin, which is remarkable. But the point of what I'm saying is that they come on, that the financials are arguably challenging, to say the least, and they skyrocket. They go down, which I expected, and then they triple. And it's amazing what happened. I'm so fascinated with their chart. I'm just so fascinated. With AITX, I mean, you know, we're kind of like a bit of a hardcore OTC company, you know. We run on sentiment and momentum. And, you know, when we have a little run, it's, you know, whatever, people get excited and they run the run, and then, you know, whatever, they go on to the next shiny object. In the meantime, AITX continues to power forward with real business, real customers, real technology, fully SEC reporting, the whole deal, right? So as far as catalysts go, we have some potential large sales coming up. Of course, I think we've had a pretty significant catalyst with our Six Flags deployment at 2 parks, 25 units, which is great. So, you know, I can't talk too much about forward-looking statements on a call like this without adequate disclosures and publicity and so forth. But you know, what is public and what everybody knows is that we're busy selling, growing revenues, creating new technology. And we have like 15 different catalysts that I can share on this call if you feel like me going through them.
I say go for it.
I say go for it too.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right.
Let's hear it.
All right. I'd like everyone to go to a website called radlightmyway.com. RADLIGHTMYWAY. Radlightmyway.com. This is a solution that we created, which everybody who sees loves, which I love. It was the idea kind of came to me when I was walking with head nurse of Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, and she starts telling me how they have attrition with staff members who just get weary from kind of walking the gauntlet to their car in the middle of the night, you know, after a 12-hour shift or 10-hour shift or whatever. And they're just like, screw it, I'm going to go work at the hospital down the street. So that's kind of an extreme example of this Rad Light My Way. But Rad Light My Way, when it hits, is going to, I think, be big. Education campuses, corporate campuses, healthcare campuses. There's no other solution out there that conveniently puts safety and security in the palm of the user's hand on demand. It's completely unique. I think it's a huge catalyst once that takes off. We're going to be pouring some marketing dollars into that over the course of the next several months. And, you know, I mean, you tell me what happens when big college campuses start signing up for it.
This is super cool. I'm looking at it right now. And of course, it's one of my favorite robots you have, Scott, right? This is super cool that it lights the way in the parking lots, because so much, so much crime happens in dark parking lots, like, and what you said, college campuses, even malls, like everywhere. So this is great. And you said there's nothing quite like this.
Nothing quite like it. Yeah. And, you know, in that website, we didn't even, like, I haven't even really shared everything that application does, but I'll give you guys another feature that it does, which I'll probably be releasing in the next, you know, whatever, couple of weeks, or I don't know the time schedule for it. But that same app is going to have another button on it. And it's, I don't know what we have it labeled as, show me the car, or I don't know, whatever the wording is. I don't recall off the top of my head at this moment. But when you push that button to your phone, you're going to get images of the parking lot where your car is parked. So not only, my wife's in the background, she's like, that's fucking amazing. Sweetie, you didn't know that? I didn't tell you that one. Yeah. I know.
Hey, wife.
This is breaking news right now.
I love it.
Breaking news. Look at that, eh? This is a glimpse into the Reiharz household. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
So cool.
Yeah. Is that kind of funny? So now it's like, it's not like, what I'm trying to do is say, hey, you know, because listen, we're all consumers of security. We're walking around, we're hoping there's cameras, we're hoping somebody's watching the cameras. I can tell you from being in the industry for 25 years, nobody's watching the cameras. Right. Nobody's watching the cameras. I've built, I think, 50 security operations centers, each with maybe over, 500 cameras. I think the largest one I did was 4,000 cameras. And we put two guys in seats and we say, hey, make sure nothing bad happens on these 4,000 cameras. Okay. It's a joke. It's a joke. And I'm the guy doing it. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't watch TV for 10 seconds without flicking the channel. You think that anybody could watch 4,000 cameras with nothing happening on them all the time? Of course not. It's a false sense of security. It becomes a forensic device. I want to turn that into somebody taking control of their security so they don't have to guess and hope that somebody is watching them. But now you'll see it by your own eyes and you'll be like, hey, a couple guys lurking or whatever it might be. I'm not going to walk to my car right now. That's safety and security. That's amazing. I love that. That's a catalyst for us.
That's amazing. And if you guys didn't hear, it's radlightmyway.com. That's RAD lightmyway.com. And you could kind of see how this is going to work. And this is super cool. And is this already out or going to be out, and when?
So, listen, the website is out. I have the final brochures like in my inbox. I was supposed to kind of do final review on them this week with a weekend with a bunch of other stuff, but I didn't get to it. Anyway, so, it's part of a concerted sales and marketing effort. We have brought on a new salesperson who's fantastic, and she's really going to be carrying the torch with this product throughout college campuses and corporate campuses. So, you know what I mean? It's like it's out technically, but are we really pushing it or selling it? Not so much. We've submitted it for a serious security award that will be announced if we win at the end of March in Las Vegas. And, these products take time to get in the marketplace.
So what got you into this robot cake? What got you into robotics? Remember the TV show where they used to do Robot Wars? Was it that? You remember it, right? Robot Wars.
That's so funny. Yeah. What was the name of that show? Was it?
I think it was Robot Wars.
Robot Wars, right?
Were we the only two that used to watch that?
I used to watch it. Yeah, I used to watch it. It was so fun. It was so fun. So just a fun fact. I spoke to those guys last year. We were going to sponsor.
Wow.
Yeah, we were going to sponsor their show and do some cool stuff with them. And we ended up not doing it, but I learned about the show. They film it in like 2 weeks in Long Beach, California, and then they drip out the episodes. It's really interesting, really, really, really good guys. It's really, really, really well done. But no, that wasn't it. It really wasn't driven with robotics. I'm not driven by robotics per se. I'm more driven by the potential of artificial intelligence. Robotics for me and the devices that we produce, which I love, are really just vessels carrying the intelligence. All of our devices run the same software. They all do mostly the same thing at different form factors. I'm fascinated, and I've been fascinated with AI since I was a little kid,
Yeah, I read that article about you, Steve, that you wrote an essay in high school about AI, and then look at you now.
I know. Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
Amazing. Like, talk about, manifestation, guys. Like, that's some pretty crazy stuff.
Crazy.
If that's the same article, yeah, I believe you were doing entrepreneur stuff at a young age, and then I know you funded a lot of this on your own, 401ks and family, and to try to make this money and make this work. So good for you on that.
Yeah, thanks. No, we went. I know you guys have that entrepreneurial spirit with this, venture that we know of, and the coin. I looked at your coin thing a little bit, and you set red lines, right? When you're bootstrapping, or even whatever. You're like, okay, if we can't get this at this money rate, then we're hanging it up, right? And we just set like red line after red line after red line after red line, and it was just like I couldn't give up. I wouldn't give up. I knew someone was going to do it. I knew it was, it should be us, and we just. Man, oh man, we took it past the wire against all odds, and how can I tell you?
And so any plans on uplisting?
Yeah, I've committed to uplist to the QB as soon as our K is out, as soon as the year-end statements are out, we will file to uplist to the QB, and my guesses will be accepted. So that'll be a little uplist. But I mentioned in my weekly video yesterday that if Nightscope's value holds on NASDAQ after they release their full year financials, okay? So if NASDAQ really, really loves them so much that they continue to give them this valuation, I said that I would accelerate our plans to move to NASDAQ because, we would be able to get arguably a higher valuation at NASDAQ than Nightscope, and that we would in the OTC. So that'd be good for all the shareholders. But we got to wait. Let's see what happens. My guess is we're going to be on OTC for a couple more years. And, I don't mind. There's great liquidity. We're consistently a top 25 trading stock. We've built a fantastic community whom I adore. And, we got a good thing going. So, but definitely NASDAQ. I need to go to NASDAQ at some point in the next 3 years or so to improve liquidity, continue to grow, continue to raise money at higher levels, and have a bit of an exit event for myself.
Yeah, thank you for being transparent with that, with the retail investors as well. And you guys, I posted the radlightmyway.com up on top as well. You guys need to check that out. It's so impressive. So where do you see AITX in the next 3 to 5 years? I know you said you're aiming for NASDAQ. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, my immediate priority right now are device counts. We're sitting somewhere over 200 devices. The immediate goal is 500 devices, and then we'll look at 1,000 devices. We'll keep on kind of setting those things higher. So that's the name of the game. I'd really like to get to $1 million a month in recurring monthly revenue. And that's going to be a big, big, big milestone for us. Our gross margin is so high that, it'll make us just even more of a unique company than we already are. So, the focus is always on fundamentals. So we're building a great business. We've got great products, great customers, great team members. So that's my focus. That's our focus.
That's great. And then what message do you have for retail investors not yet invested into AITX?
Well, I'm never allowed to advise any type of trading activity. The message that I would say is that the AITX community in particular, the way that we've built it is based on having, enough due diligence out there that you can spend weeks watching videos, reading reports, seeing what's going on. And for me, that's the most important thing, that investors know what they're buying. I'll tell you, it used to drive me crazy. I'm kind of numb to it right now, how, some gray market or expert market or non-filing or non-qualified ticker would come up and everybody like, oh man, these guys are, coming out of bankruptcy, or they're, whatever, the documents are filed and they're going to be shown in a week, or whatever rumor of the moment is going to create this spike, right? And all of a sudden the stock runs and runs and runs, and people make money, no doubt. People make money, and the smart ones take it and bank it. And then, of course, since the rumors might be built on nothing, stock obviously crashes at some point, and a lot of people get hurt. And, I don't want that happening with AITX. When you trade or invest in AITX, you have all the information out there for you to make an educated decision and trade appropriately. And I think that's one of the things that distinguishes us in the OTC.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you guys, of course, this is never financial advice. It's just to get some insight on the companies and do your own research, of course, just a reminder. And we are super bullish on AI, and we wish much success to come for AITX, of course. I want to see if any of our panel has any questions for you, and then we could go to the audience. And if at any time, any of you guys act up on the freaking audience questions, I will cut you off. Thank you. Doll, Matt.
Right. That's right. That's how we do it in here. So is So if you're not familiar with the OTC Club, we are very bullish on Web3 and the metaverse. Do you plan on, you guys are laughing at me. Do you plan, AITX plan on integrating with the metaverse and, doing anything with, Web3?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what happens. So, I mean, my role, I get to try new things, and I try new things and they don't work sometimes and they fizzle. No one ever, knows about it because, it doesn't take off. Right. And that's fine. I mean, that's just the role of any kind of creator. With the metaverse, I came up with a concept that you're going to call me a tease. That's totally fine. It is. But I came up with something and I mentioned it to one of my guys who's deep in NFTs, one of my early investors that made a ton of cash on us. Like, he was in the friends and family round. And he's a big time, brilliant investor. Obviously, he invested in us years ago. And he's like, man, oh man, I don't even know if that's possible, but if it is, it will be something special. So I got to put a little bit of time into that. Stay tuned. If I can pull it off, it's going to be special, but it's super early stages, and that's the best I can say right now. But this metaverse thing, it's like, it's an extension of what we're doing right now. It's an extension of being connected to each other through our phones or through the internet or through whatever. And I think we're going to be kind of, living some of our time in the metaverse and living some of our time in the real world. That's just how things are going. Obviously, a lot of other big thinkers think the same.
Are you bullish on NFTs and cryptocurrency?
Well,
oh my God.
My son, one of my sons, I got 4 kids, my 18-year-old, he's 19 now. He buys like my kids made a ton of money on crypto, right? Well, during the run up. And so he spends like a couple Ethereum on like, I don't know, some kind of, it's like a cat in like a French hat. Like, yeah, like it's, I don't know. It's, and I'm like, and he's like so proud. He's like, Dad, I bought this. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't give you credit for spending money. I mean, there's no accomplishment in going to buy something, but, he's like, Dad, this is great, blah, 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 blah. And I'm excited because it's creating excitement and it makes people happy. And so people are going to buy it. So there's definitely something there. The piece that I can't get my head around in NFTs is scarcity. And, I turned 50 in a few months, whatever, right? So I'm kind of from that 70s and 80s generation where we always learned about demand and supply. And, we were always taught that scarcity created, price increases. In the metaverse, I don't know how they're going to create scarcity. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But for me, I'm still locked into that thought process that without scarcity, you can't have high prices. I don't know. But listen, I don't want to do all the talking. You guys tell me. You guys are spending more time thinking about it. What's your guys' take on it?
Well,
but go ahead, Christine.
I mean, we're pretty involved in that space and stuff. I'm sure Doll just wanted to know if you are as well. It's good to hear that your son is. I'm sure, the younger generation is super involved in it, and we're, always learning as well. It's a very new, it's in its infancy stages. It's good to put fun in investments. I feel like that's the best way I could put it, is like, okay, it's kind of like putting a fun picture on top of your share there. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think there's something there. I think bragging, it's amazing. I think bragging rights are worth money. And that's what we see. We see people trading in Lamborghinis to buy, a $200,000 NFT. And hey.
Yes. I just had a few people telling me that today. Like, I did have a car, but I sold it so I could buy this NFT. And I was like, wow. Yeah.
Now I take the bus. That's why you asked who.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm taking the bus, but I'm showing everybody my NFT.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a different kind of flex. But Matt, do you have a question for Steve?
Yeah, so definitely, I'll just spin off that too. I'm definitely very bullish on blockchain itself. Maybe not so much the crypto coins. Still a bit new. I haven't dove into the NFTs or the metaverse yet, but I believe blockchain in itself, when it's incorporated in ecosystems in all sorts of ranges, in healthcare, real estate, just top to bottom of companies and running their businesses. So the grand thing about blockchain, I think we were just chatting with that in my other group there. It's definitely a part of the future of Web 3.0. Whether or not we see Bitcoin go to 100,000, whether or not countries involve it in monetary value, yet to be seen. Very early, but blockchain's here to stay for sure. So that's my take on that. Two quick ones. I just had a question. How is, I believe you guys moved to Detroit recently. How is that looking? And how was that decision made?
Yeah, sure. First off, I love blockchain too. There's like different pieces of our communications chain that we might move into blockchain. There's things that I'm thinking about doing in terms of decentralizing how we store different pieces of information across the network. So totally with you as far as that tech goes. Detroit was always part of the plan. So growing up in Canada, I moved to California when I was 23 or so. But I went to school. I grew up in Toronto mostly, and went to school in southeastern Ontario, a town called London, Ontario. And there's this like college corridor between Waterloo, Kitchener, and London, Hamilton, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, a bunch of really, really good schools. So, I had always wanted to leverage my familiarity with the area, my comfort with the culture, to open up our R&D. So I did that. And the plan was that we would manufacture in the United States in, of course, glorious Detroit, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm so excited to be part of the resurgence of this great American city. And so, it's a 3-hour drive for engineers to drive to Detroit, and similarly for assembly people and those types of technicians to drive across to the R&D guys. So that's why we chose it, and couldn't be happier. Love our team out there. Spectacular.
Yeah, so I'm actually from Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo area. I grew up, born around there. I just moved out to Vancouver, BC 5 years ago from there. So very familiar with Waterloo and Laurier and everything there. Yeah, a lot of bright minds coming from those schools for sure, Waterloo included. So, and also agree with you on Detroit. I went down there. It's got so much culture and everything still, and I really look forward. I hope it does build back up. So great to bring jobs and everything there. So kudos on you, Steve. Just a little touch on your Romeo, the first Six Flags. How's that going, and what's the expansion looking like for future parks? I know you've spoke with Disney, but nothing yet inked or public. How's that?
Well, Six Flags is, I don't know if you guys follow us that closely, but we're in security business, so we've got these non-disclosure agreements with all of our customers generally. I worked into the Six Flags agreement permission to, mention the project to them. But other than that, like most of our other customers, they really don't want me to share any speculation and so forth. What I will share is that at the IAPA show in Orlando a few months ago, where we revealed the first Romeo Six Flags unit, which is called Parker 1. We had like maybe 7 or 8 other park managers from Six Flags come by and check it out. And I really feel there's a tremendous amount of excitement in that organization with our solution. And, people talk about Romeo, right? Because Romeo is, it's big and sexy and it's cool and it's fun. Everybody loves robots. But, we've got 22 Rosa being deployed across 2 parks as well. And, if those units are successful, which I expect they will be, we could be looking at hundreds and hundreds of Rosa for that client as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. And appreciate having you on. I believe the girls will let some of the panel or some of the guests get some questions. But thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, thanks. And thanks for making that Canadian connection there.
Yeah,
I
you
love
guys
it.
All right, we got
Mhm.
B-Med. B-Med, what's your question?
Hey, Steve, I just wanted to come on and say, really excited about the company. I think that, this is something that's going to blow up, and I love to keep on going with it. I guess kind of my question is that what's like the bread and butter of AITX? I'm a relatively new investor, so what is the product that you're really pushing, and that you see to really take off in the next year or so?
Well, B-Med, hey man, thanks for being in the community. Thank you for the support. The product that's moving the most is our Rosa product. And we just came out with our third generation of it, which we call Rosa 3.0. And number one, it looks amazing. We brought on board a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago now, but we hired the guy who created Cisco's hardware design language. So Cisco with a C. His name is Artur. He's just a brilliant industrial designer. So he came on board and we started working on, facelifting, or actually it's deeper than a facelift, but just redoing all the products because, the first products were designed by me and one of our Canadian engineers. And, they're very utilitarian. And reality is we need to have some sex appeal and cool appeal. So Rosa, which we've sold the most of, is definitely selling the most. And we use it as our entry into the world of AI, of security and facilities management supported by AI devices. So one of the things that I've committed to is placing 1,000-unit order for shells, injection molded, by the end of February, which is the end of our fiscal year. So that's definitely the unit that is moving the most. I feel that behind it, which is great news for us from a financial standpoint, it feels that Romeo is really getting traction, attention. And the reason why I'm excited about that is from a financial standpoint, we've got to sell 10 Rosa, roughly, to equal the financial impact of one Romeo. So, 100 Romeo out there is the equivalent of 1,000 Rosa. And these are kind of the numbers that I want to be getting to. This is where, we can start making a serious impact, preparing for a NASDAQ uplift, which is going to really, hopefully, position us so that retail wins big, even though I always expect retail to win in the OTC as well. There's always this push to NASDAQ. And I'll go off on a tangent if I could, real quick. It's just, Christine, can I just riff for a minute on two things?
Yeah, go ahead. Totally.
So one, I see in the OTC this dream of NASDAQ. I got to share with you. If OTC moves to NASDAQ, and there's a million ways that management can make that happen, but if they don't care about retail can get hurt. It's not always a good thing for OTC retail in a move to NASDAQ. And I mention this and I bring it to people's attention because I'm committed that when we move to NASDAQ, that retail doesn't get hurt. So that's number one, everybody should calm down on these moves to NASDAQ because they could burn you if you're retail. The second thing that I'll share, which is this huge OTC myth, and I'm wondering how many people on this call have issued tweets or statements like this, but let's burn the shorts. Okay, listen, if we're talking big board stuff, we're talking NASDAQ, we're talking NYSE, right? We're talking AMC and GME and those guys. Yeah, you can short. But, subject to change, I'm not a securities attorney, even though I'm on the phone with them like 4 hours a day, it feels. But in the OTC, to short a share, and there's some exceptions to this, you basically need to have a cash account with $2.50 per share. which means that if you're trying to short a 10-cent share, you need 25 times that in cash in a bank as security. So I talk to bankers and investment guys all day long, and we all talk about it. We're like, do you really think anybody's shorting in the OTC? I'm like, no. I'm like, do you? I mean, you guys are the guys pulling the trigger. So who's shorting in the OTC? Maybe some market makers, if they see something really inflated and, you know, it's got to be taken down a couple pegs. Otherwise, I just got to say, you know, downward trends are just as much about market momentum versus anything nefarious like shorting. And this is specific to the OTC. What do y'all think of that?
Amazing. Well said.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And one last thing, and I'll hop off here. I just want to say inevitable, and thank you for everything, Steve. You have a good night.
BMed, thanks for watching. Thanks for reading, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for being informed. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, BMed. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. And then now we have Eric Medina. What's up, Eric?
Oh, Eric, one of my guys. But we got to do a quick wine break. Sweetie, what's our status here? We're running dries. Okay, is this a drinking game? Are we gonna time to fill up?
Yeah, time to fill up,
guys. Time to fill up. We got to crack a new bottle here.
What are you drinking, Steve? What are you
drinking? We just finished this bottle we got from Costco, which was really nice. Experience Napa Valley. Yeah, 2017. So this went down really nice. We're gonna see what she.
Is it a cab?
It is a cab. It is a cab. I thought it was a red blend, but it's really my wife that's so bougie on the wines. Let's see what she's gonna pull out here.
That was not a bougie wine. That was.
I know. Yes.
She's like, don't embarrass me.
That's exactly right. You felt that in her voice. I know you did. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Highly disrespected.
I know. Let's see what she's going to pull out now. You know. No, I don't want you to pull out something good. Just pull out something. You know, pull out something for the podcast here with the OTC gang. You see, this is a problem now. It's like going to be 20 minutes before I get that glass of wine.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's gonna pull out the good stuff. That's wonderful. Go ahead, Eric. Eric, what are you drinking now?
Oh, I'm not drinking nothing. I don't want to miss my flight tomorrow. I have to go to Memphis.
Eric.
All right, Eric, what's the question?
Hey, Steve, buddy. How prepared are we getting for a shortage in semiconductors and chips? Because everybody almost use the same chips and semiconductor parts and everything. It's going to be a battle in the field for that.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who works for, oh my goodness. Babe, you remember who Greg works for, which semiconductor company he works for? Connexent. It used to be Connexent. Do you remember the name of the company now? Greg and Melinda. Anyway, friends of ours whose company, we forget who they work for or who he works for, is like deep in the chip business. Like he's the guy who writes the instruction manuals for some of the chips that then other chip makers make to make chips. So he told me like 2 years ago about the chip shortage that was coming. And as a result, we started stockpiling items that we figured would be hard to get a hold of, namely servers and hard drives. So we were really aggressive in buying everything up. And even after our suppliers put us on quota, so basically they'd say, hey, you buy 50 of these a month, so you're going to be able to continue to buy 50 a month, or now you got to buy 25 a month, whatever it is, right? We got in early, stockpiled, and for the stationary RAD line, we didn't really suffer and haven't really suffered, and I don't expect we will suffer from the chip shortage. Now, since that point, we've come out with, the FPGA boards, right, that RAD-G does, our own boards, and we've definitely had some slowdowns because all the RAD 3.0 lines runs on these new boards, and they're new, so we haven't been able to stockpile them. That said, I don't have any reports from production that that it's holding anything up per se, but our eye is on it and we're just trying to buy everything we can. That's kind of the best I can tell you as far as the stationary line. On the mobile line, on Romeo, because Romeo has gone through some significant upgrades over the past 6 months. Again, we weren't able to forecast the parts and pieces that we would need. We upgraded several components. So there have been interruptions in terms of deliveries on Romeo because of it. But we're doing the best we can, I think that for the 1,000 Rosas and for the rest of the stationary line, I think the FPGA boards are going to start to come in, or I think I posted or tweeted one a couple of weeks ago, so they're already coming in. I think we're okay there. On Romeo, because initial delivery quantities are going to be relatively low, I think we'll be okay there. So what I'm saying is that we're not going to be dead in the water because of the chip shortage, but things are going to be, more expensive and slower, but not existential to what we need to do to satisfy customers.
That is great. That is great, dude. You're very being prepared.
Eric,
thank you.
It's great to hear your voice, man. It's great to hear your voice. I love what you do for the community. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bless everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming up here and asking that question.
I'm glad you got Eric's question in. He is just amazing for us.
Definitely. Now we have, do we go to border?
The Tigress.
Tigress? Hey, Tigress. Hello, darling.
Hi. So when I hopped in a little late because I was giving my kids a bath. But there's a term that you said, Steve, that got me really excited because I know 99.9% of OTC has no idea what you're talking about when you say it. But could you say in layman terms what the fourth industrial revolution means?
Yeah, sure. And hello, Tigress. It is nice to hear your voice. And I hope the kids went to bed, with minimal.
Oh no, they're in the playroom.
They're in the
playroom for now.
The fourth industrial revolution is a combination of instant communications at your fingertips combined with artificial intelligence. That's the highest level explanation I would give it. So more or less, third industrial revolution was computerization. This is where we have our phones and our desktops. Fourth industrial revolution is where we start to offload workload to intelligent machines, which of course is exactly what AITX does. There are some great reference materials that you can bury yourself in to learn about the fourth industrial revolution. My recommendation for the easiest read is go to Wikipedia. Just go to Wikipedia, type in fourth industrial revolution. They've got it summarized beautifully. And I encourage you, figure out what is happening in the fourth industrial revolution. Everything will be changing just like it did in the third industrial revolution. The difference is third industrial revolution started 1950s, ended 2010 or so. It was about a 50-year run. This next year run, 15 to 20 years. The pace of change is much more rapid now.
So I have another question for you, since you put a timeline to it. 2010 is when a lot of companies started integrating into the blockchain, and most people don't realize it. So honestly, I've not done a lot of research on AITX. So if this is something that I should know, I don't. But how do you guys incorporate blockchain into your technology right now?
We don't. And I think BMed or someone else asked about it earlier. I'm a huge fan of blockchain. Blockchain, for me, from a security perspective, allows me to have the most secure pieces of technology possible. Having it in a decentralized environment, again, adds to the security of it as well. So I'm a huge fan of it for that reason. We're not doing anything with it right now. Occasionally, me and whichever development team I might be talking to at any given time, we talk about it a little bit, but then we just kind of refer back to the fact and say, hey, between what we're doing with Microsoft Azure, what they do on the security side, how we use AES 256 encryption right now, how we're SOC 2 certified at the moment. So it's kind of like, again, huge fan of blockchain. We don't process financial transactions. We don't keep HIPAA compliant information. We don't have any of those requirements. Our requirements are a little bit more benign. So at this moment, we don't have any plans in the development roadmap to incorporate blockchain. Will we eventually? Yeah, we will eventually. We have to. Everybody will. At this point, it's not on the roadmap. We don't have the need.
Well, what's interesting is Azure is actually already on the blockchain with cryptocurrency. So it's interesting that you work with them.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So we're on the blockchain now. That's great, Tigris. Yeah, no, we're huge Azure fans. We're huge Microsoft fans. Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Well, Tigress with the facts all the time, right? That's why we love her so much.
Wow.
And then, Nick, do you want to go next? Or I didn't know for
Yeah, I just wanted to first thank you guys. Always hosting a great space. I was curious, Steve, what are some of your hurdles? I'm in the OTC space as well. What are some of the hurdles you're seeing going to the OTC QB, the regulatory, or on the Pubco side? And then just a statement: we run a 3D printing company, so if you ever need any parts for any of your products, would love to partner there. It'd be great.
Hey, hit me up on send me a DM or something like that. We're building our own small 3D print production farm with 10 printers at our facility in Detroit, but that only goes so far. So certainly love meeting new vendors, and I'll throw you in the queue with the production guys. So hit me on DM. Listen, people, I got to say, there's some things that I do in response to the AITX community on the OTC. And, there's two. Okay, let's face it, there's two. Because no CEO can go to the OTC for direction or instructions, right? I mean, we got a path, and, it's my job. But two things that I've done. The first thing that I did was issued an 8K and worked it into our corporate bylaws that we would not have a reverse split, right? And I did that despite, the fact that I'd said it 1,000 times. Whatever, I just memorialized it in terms of corporate paperwork. The next thing is, oh my God, my mind just blanked on me. Where were we? Where I was going somewhere on item number 2, QB. The QB, thank you very much, the QB. So the QB has a higher reporting standard than the pinks. So because of that, different types of institutional investors will only deal with QB companies. Because of that, there's a perception that being on the QB is better. The key here is there's a perception that being on the QB is better. We have been fully SEC reporting since I did the reverse merger in 2017. So from a reporting and compliance standpoint, for us, there is zero change, zero difference in how we manage our books, finances, and reporting. But because I like to try to be responsive to our community, I said, fine. I said, okay, after the K, we'll go on the QB. It's not going to make a difference. I keep telling everybody, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to increase liquidity. It's not going to do anything. But nonetheless, we'll do it. Now, the reason why it's not going to increase our liquidity is because some of the institutional investors that would generally have in their corporate bylaws that they would only deal with OTC QB companies have relaxed those requirements because there are OTC pink companies like us, very rare, that are full SEC reporting and therefore qualify for investment from these institutionals. So that's kind of the long story there.
Could you explain to the listeners how much it costs for companies to be actually OTC QB reporting?
Yeah.
Or to be on OTC QB, sorry.
Yeah, no, sure. I'm going to rephrase the question a little bit. I think the question is how much it costs to be a full SEC reporting company. So I share it that way because in the pinks and in the QB, there are different levels of alternate reporting. And very important that investors know this because it talks about disclosure and where's the company from and who's involved and how can you see who's doing what, right? This is all information that you guys should know. So we are almost at the top of the food chain in terms of compliance and reporting. We're certainly at the top of the food chain from reporting because it's full SEC reporting. But we don't have an audit committee. We have a third-party auditor. We don't have a compensation committee. We just have, a board of directors, which has me on it. Beyond that, we would qualify for NASDAQ or anything else with an increased share price. But it costs us about $500,000 a year to be full SEC reporting.
Good to know. That is good to know. Nick, did he answer your questions or did you have any more?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'd love to make an investment in that 3D printing thing you're doing. So, yeah, I hit you up in the DMs, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll set you up with the guys who are doing that. I don't think they've pulled the trigger yet. We've had a couple of these units. I don't know. They're $4,500 a piece. I don't know. I'll hook you up with the guys who know what's going on.
That's awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
I always love productive connections and witnessing these. So yeah, thanks for that, guys. And then we have Calvin up here. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Christine, before we get to Kelvin, I'll share something that I think is cool. We have several employees that came to us as investors first.
Oh, wow. Really?
Isn't that the coolest thing? Yep. Right now, our purchasing director out of Detroit came to us as an investor. A couple of the salespeople came to us as investors. I think that's about it. But I get routinely solicited by investors to come and work for us, and I'm certainly open to it if they're the right people. So
you guys heard that, so
yeah, but don't flood me with resumes, But
you're gonna get DMs of resumes all day now.
Oh my goodness,
that was you. And I would too. I mean, just even looking at, I'm a fan of AITX from when I first came into OTCs anyway, but even checking out that radlightmyway.com, if I didn't even know about AITX, that's super bullish. So I'm super excited. And it looks like Calvin fell off. So I don't know if there are any more questions. I think we are done. Stock Talk to you. I think you just joined us to be up here because we're buddies, right? Okay, yeah, he's probably drinking champagne. Okay, so here's Jake. Hold on.
From State Farm?
Yeah, Jake from State Farm is connecting. Stock Talk Weekly is drinking champagne. Steve Reiharz drinking wine. What's up, Jake?
What's going on, guys?
What is up?
Yeah, so I'm a new investor. I'm just going to touch on what B-Med said earlier. You said that the Rosa is your bread and butter product. Do you have any new products that you are planning on kind of following in the Rosa's footsteps?
Good question. We do. So there is a master plan. And I mentioned the FPGA board, which is our own kind of circuit board, our own, computer that runs all the devices. Really required if you're going to make a mass product. If you're going to make a product that you do 10,000 devices at a run instead of 1,000, you need to have your own electronics. So we're kind of taking step by step to that point. And perhaps by the end of this year, we come up with hopefully a very low priced consumer and small business product. that
That's
is in the
really
early
what I was
stages of development.
curious about, the small consumer products.
Yeah. Yeah. So most likely, I mean, that's something that we're working towards. But we only have I just hired 2 new perception engineers, perception developers this week. Amazing guys out of Canada. But really, like I said, it's about building this perception team. It's about building an interactive robot that has advanced, again, perception to be able to see things and communicate and fill this role of these human jobs that we talked about when we opened up the conversation. But yeah. And just so you know, the development team made me promise at year end. They were like, "Listen, no new products." They were like, "Slow down. We got to build what we said we would build." I was like, "Fine, okay, fine." So we're gonna build what we got.
Sweet, man. To the moon, Steve.
To the moon. Thanks, man.
To the
Love it.
moon. To the
Thank
moon.
you, Jake. And then we have Calvin back up here. Hey, Calvin.
Before you say something, Kelvin, I want to say thank you to Jake, because Jake has inspired me that some of my supporters are not bots, because he don't have any followers. He don't have any following. And he came up here with a great voice. He came up here with great questions. And it just
You're
keeps
so
hope alive.
All right, go ahead, Calvin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good, good. First of all, thank you for letting me come on. And Steve, I just wanted to, I don't know if you remember who I am, but I was one of the lucky individuals that got to come to the open house, shake your hand as me and my wife, and my 2 boys. But I wanted to say thanks for all that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And just wanted to make a personal observation in comparison to AITX, in comparison to Nightscope. And please correct me if you think I'm maybe a little off base here. But I'm thinking, when I look at Nightscope and I look at AITX and I look at the board, the people that are the leaders for Nightscope, and I look at AITX and I just say, wow, there isn't a comparison. It's just, we have such a great group of people, and I just want to say thanks for putting these people together. Thanks for keep growing, because as an investor, I keep a close eye on AITX, and I just get more and more excited, and I share it as much as I can. And I want to encourage other people to look at Nightscope and say, what are they doing in comparison to AITX? Because AITX is, personal opinion, knocking it out of the park. So just wanted to say thanks, and just a thought, food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. That's so nice.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's the thing. It's Calvin. When we said Kelvin, I was like, I don't know, Kelvin. But Calvin, of course I remember you, man. We had a moment, and it was great to see you in person. And I was so glad that you brought the 2 kids, and it was lovely to meet your wife. And I tell you, that was a really special event. And Christine, we had a big event on October 13th where we revealed the whole RAD 3.0 line. We revealed Rad Dog. We demonstrated Rad Light My Way. It was packed. It was packed. I think I have over 8,000 views of the video, which is our largest, which for us is a large count, which for any OTC company is a very large count. So a really pivotal moment, and got to share it with Calvin. So, hey man, thanks for following, and wouldn't be the same without you.
I appreciate it. Hey, keep doing what you're doing, Steve. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks very much. Yeah. I have, I put Nightscope on my little speed deck thing. I don't know. I got one of those little panels where I can put tickers, and it shows on my desktop all day. And I got Nightscope on there. Man, it is going to be interesting to say the least. Anyway. So yeah.
That's cool, Steve, that you said you had that event, because I wish I was there, because I'm obsessed with your robots. But have you been to CES or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I've been to CES as a attendee over the years. I stopped going maybe 15 years ago when it started just getting way over the top commercialized and just became like an event unto itself.
Yeah.
It's a consumer electronics show, so it's nothing that we would exhibit at. What we're going to be doing, though, is there's the biggest security show in America. It's called ISC West. It's in Las Vegas every year. This year it's end of March, when it normally is. We've submitted for 3 products, including Red Light My Way in the best new product category. I'm very careful with money, so I'm not, buying, a huge booth and spending money on that, but getting something modest. We have a couple guerrilla tricks up our sleeve. And that'll be a big show for us. We've got IAPA and NCS4 that will attend again, that we've got a show called GSX. At most of these shows, I or our president, Mark Fulmer, will also get like either a lecture position or a panel position. I don't like showing up unless I get a stage, to talk about. So I try to pair our attendance. I try to leverage our attendance with getting some FaceTime, and again, just making guerrilla moves to promote the company.
Super awesome. And then we have Xander up here. What's up, Xander?
Hey, can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Steve. I had a couple of questions. One being, I guess, I know if you've been following Kathy Wood, she's saying there's been like a decreasing cost curve for training AI and just working with AI in general. I was wondering if you felt you've reaped any of the benefits of any of the declining costs there. And secondly, what are your general observations about some of the other players in the space that not directly competing with your product, but like Boston Dynamics and even Tesla's promise of a robot? Just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, thank you for the questions. Kathy Woods, I think that she was one of the reasons why we had our huge run 12 months ago, is when she started talking about investing in AI companies. So I'm grateful to her for that. Elon Musk's OpenAI company is, by far the leader in doing all these things. Just absolutely, miles ahead of anybody else, and just tremendous company. And obviously he's a tremendous visionary. From an AI perspective, there are some different chips out there that are leveraging neural networks that do help us on a production standpoint. So that has been helpful to us. What hasn't been helpful to us is that data scientists and perception engineers, perception developers, their prices in the marketplace have skyrocketed. And you got to put down, $150,000, $200,000 to get, to get a guy on the team. So that is a temporary imbalance in supply labor chain. And that costs us a little bit extra money. I just hired 2 new perception developers this past week, as I mentioned, both tremendous guys, tremendous guys, because we're building our own intelligence, and we build that through what we call our perception team. These are the guys who say, okay, if somebody's approaching the robot, do this. Now let's drill down on that. Let's say that this person approaching is a child. Maybe we treat it differently. Maybe the person is approaching in a wheelchair. Maybe we appreciate, all of these things that humans do intrinsically, we've got to build the tools for the robots to do. So, on the hardware side, it's helpful. On the human resources side, what's happening, not helpful. A little bit of a scarcity in terms of the talent. I hope I answered that part of the question. And as I was concentrating on it, I forgot the second question. Would you just let me know if I answered the first one fully, and if you would repeat the second one, please?
Yeah, I think the first one was just about if you felt any of the benefits from the declining costs, which is kind of what you already talked about. And the second one was your general observations about Boston Dynamics and Tesla's promise of a humanoid robot. Just your general observations, or if how valid is Tesla's vision?
Tesla's vision is 100% valid, and it's merely a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So no questions in my mind whatsoever in terms of that. What we hope to do is we hope to build a small piece of specialized intelligence, if you want to call it that, in order to serve the markets that we're attacking, starting with security and facility. So that's absolutely real. As far as Boston Dynamics goes, I don't, hey, I see the cool videos, I see the back flipping robot and I see the dogs dancing and all that stuff. And hey, that's all well and good. And I know they were just picked up by some PE company. And again, I think that's all well and good. There's a gap traditionally between great engineering companies and great commercialization companies. Steve Jobs would be the best example of a guy that could bridge the gap between great engineering and great commercialization. Obviously, we know his products. Many of us might be holding it in our hand right now. I seek to commercialize great engineering, and that's what we're doing. So, we're not teamed up with Boston Dynamics. We're teamed up with Ghost Robotics. The CEO of that company and I share a great deal of similar culture, attitude, aggressiveness. So, I expect that we will bring together to market a very cost-attractive robot dog that we hope to proliferate. So that's our approach on the dog. And really, I am often asked about competition, and I never have any good answers for two reasons. Number one, my head is so buried in our world, so I don't have time to look what anyone else is doing. And the second reason is I'm never going to be an expert in somebody else's business. So I'm never going to really say, oh, I know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. And quite frankly, I don't care. We've got our customers, our roadmap, our path. It's working. We're ahead of everybody else from everything I can tell. And so, hey, as long as I'm first, as long as we're ahead, then I don't really have to worry about whatever anybody else might be doing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Great questions.
Sander. Thank you for joining us, Sander. And then, okay, so we have Fred. What's up, Fred?
Hi. I just have a quick question for Steve. Hey, how come it says you guys are a negative 7 million income revenue, and you gave yourself a $1 million bonus last year? I was just curious about that.
Yeah, no. Hey, good question. I mean, very specifically, I gave myself a $1.3 million bonus, and we lost $7 million in change year to date, plus or minus, probably. So, yeah. Listen, I'm just trying to choose the right words here. I'm not particularly stumped on it. AITX is a company that has a board of directors of one, which is me. It has an investor that owns the majority of the equity, which again is me. It has a stock structure that gives overwhelming voting control to one person, which is again me. These are all important things that investors should know, and they're all public. It also has a history of having made its early investors anywhere from 10 to 100 times return. It has a history of running approximately $1 billion in trades over the past 12 months, creating all types of returns for all kinds of investors. It's also created a new industry, which by extension was created by me. It also has survived due to the ridiculous and borderline insane sacrifices by me with what I did with leading the team and my family through to get to this point. So, yeah, paid myself $1.3 million, make no apologies. And after 5 years of eating ramen noodles and betting against incredible odds, to get to this point, I make no apologies and do not ask for permission. So there you go.
Yep, I hope that answered his question. I also want to add to that. I mean, I did not know that question was coming, but I mean, obviously he wanted to know. As a business owner myself, I own like a couple businesses and S corps, and I have not. And I was reading on the article how you didn't take a paycheck for a long time, and that's the same way I am. It's like a lot of sweat equity into there, just hoping that the business runs and it's successful, and I don't want to take any money off of it at all. And then after, like, 5 years or whatever, then you're like, okay, maybe there is some profit that I could take off the table and without crushing the company or anything. And it's like, I think a lot of people don't understand that, but thank you for answering that as transparent.
Because it's like you're putting your time and effort
Right.
into something, and you have to feed your family too. And you have a dream. Like everyone has a dream of what they want to be in life and what they want their families and their friends and their families of friends and families of friends. It's like a snowball reaction.
Right. And not paying yourself for a long time. I mean, that
I just want to make a statement.
Yeah.
I want to make a quick statement about that. A lot of entrepreneur or a lot of investors per se love to see revenues before an executive pays for themselves. But the truth is, if you have a starving executive, that's a problem. You do not want to go into a deal where your executive and the leader of the company is starving. Trust me, it will not end well for the company. So big shout out to you, Steve, man. Lifeguard rules. You got to pay yourself, man.
Yeah. Thank you for the support, guys. Thank you for the support. I'll share with you that we went grocery shopping, my wife and I, like before dinner tonight, and I have less than, I don't know how much money I had. I was like, babe, you got to pay. I'm back to no money again. So the $1.3 million is gone. A lot of it went to off balance sheet transactions. A lot of loans that I took, a lot of really shitty, sketchy loans that I took during the dark days that needed to be paid back and stuff. But, bottom line is, if investors aren't invested in me making money, then, hey, like you said, I forget the name of the gentleman who said it a minute ago, right? Executives need to eat. But again, I don't care that much. It's so weird. I took a chunk of money. I paid a bunch of bills. I'm back to no money. I make $2,000 a month off of the company. My wife's laughing in the background. More for optics. But next fiscal year, I'll go back on full salary. I'll make a typical executive salary, and that'll be that. I will start a full salary, is what she's saying in the background.
I think it's interesting that you said off-balance sheet investments, because that's something that OTC traders have no clue what you're talking about. So if anyone did, they could actually draw the line to see that those off-balance sheet assets are probably something further down the line that will benefit them as a shareholder as well.
Yeah, and well said, because those off-balance sheet loans that I took helped us survive and get to this point. And again, we created dozens, if not hundreds, of millionaires along the way. Like, I am so proud of what has happened these last 12 months. I'm so excited for what could happen these next 12 months. And, we'll keep on fighting no matter what. And everybody should know that all I do is work for this business all day long. So again, no apologies, no permission asked. Thank you.
And we have Down and Out. What up, Down and Out?
Hey, thanks, Steve. I'm not going to throw a question like that prior one at you. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you've been doing. Hey, real quick question. I know you've added some new hardware. So somebody else had asked a prior question regarding Web3 integration. And I'm curious if that is something that you're looking at, because I would imagine that would be the next step, as opposed to just interacting with the robot, that you want to actually engage with the robot to transact.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So in some of these answers that I've given, throughout our time together tonight, I've talked about our perception team, and I've talked about how I want the robots to be more interactive. I gave the example of a wheelchair approaching a unit or a child approaching a unit. All that stuff comes from the team internally that we call our perception team. That's the team that I just added the two people to it. One of them has a doctorate, the other has a master's. And that, although that team has the least amount of visibility right now, I tell everybody in the company, that is our most important team. That is our future, building the interactive ability of these units. Because right now, we're relatively constrained with the stationary devices and with our roaming unit. But what happens when we expand to more mobile units, to drones, to different form factors? I need those form factors to carry this advanced technology. But I appreciate the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that is it. I do want to thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure having you with us here at OTC Club, and we wish much success to come for AITX. We're huge fans, and we will see all of you guys here on Wednesday with Matt Talk Stocks, Thursday with Feline Friends NFTs, and then next Sunday with DDDX. Steve, do you have any closing statements before we go?
I only want to say that this was way more fun than I had expected. I was kind of like already planning like an exit after 30 minutes. I was like, we got it, so I didn't know what to expect, but it was a lot of fun. Christine, can you share the names of the co-hosts that were on? I didn't catch them.
Okay, so I'm Christine, and then Stacky here, she fell off a little bit, so she's not a co-host up here anymore, but her name is Doll. She's right next to you on the panel. And then we had Matt Rivs up here that was on here earlier as well.
And
so
the rest
Doll,
of these people are strangers. Stranger danger.
Doll and Matt. And then we have our friends up here.
Well, Stacky and Matt, guys did a great job. Thank you so much for having me on. Look forward to joining you guys again.
Thank you. I hope you do come again because I want to talk about robot wars next time.
Yeah. We barely scratched the surface on that one. Next time, Stacky. Thanks, everybody.
I was tied up as we speak.
Thank
you. See you.
Guys.
Thanks. See ya. Bye-bye.
To come back and join us, and we wish much success on AITX. And you guys make sure to check out radlightmyway.com. And this ticker symbol that we were talking about is AITX. Make sure to check it out. Not financial advice, of course, just entertainment and some facts from the CEO himself. Thank you guys so much. We love you guys. See you guys on Wednesday. Bye.
All right. And this episode of OTC Club was sponsored by Jaws NFT and Femi Marketplace. Thank you. Bye-bye.